Wilder's set to face Zhang. We got Rolando Romero and Isaac Cruz all set to steal the show. But of course, Tszyu-Fundora previews and predictions all coming at you on Tough Talk Tuesday.
This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing.
Welcome to another episode of Tough Talk Tuesday. As always, I'm your host, Lucas Biggers. Alongside me, got Sakura A and Robert Alexander. What's going on, guys?
Awesome. Beautiful in the Sunshine State.
Well, for those that don't remember, we definitely we definitely have some Rob's Rapid Fire to catch back up on. We were doing some pound for pound stuff, so definitely stay tuned in for that. But let's go off some recent news here. Wilder is set to face Zhang. Guys, is this good news? Is this bad news? Sakura, what is your thoughts of this fight? Because immediately I was just kind of like, oh, I don't know.
I guess it's like, two boxers that lost their last fights and they're vying for a spot to get back into the heavyweight conversation. I mean, if you look at it that way, it's a pretty even fight. We can see who's going to be able to be in shape and who's going to be able to outwit the other one in the ring and, possibly get their name back in the conversation of matchups with some of the other more cash-worthy matchups, I should say.
Yeah, Zhang looked at least a little bit better than Wilder in his last outing. Are we worried at all that this could be Wilder's last outing if he looks bad enough?
Yeah, I've never really worried about that because his name is big enough that he could continue. It's only the fact that it's more of like a mental thing with him. To me, it's like, do you really want to continue? Or do you already have your exit plan? Because I believe that people will continue to watch Wilder just because he does always have that threat of catching you with something huge and knocking you completely out. And that's what people love. So as many times as he's willing to get in the ring, people are going to be willing to watch because they know you're always the opposition is, always in jeopardy of being caught. Receive on the receiving end of that. So I think it's more to do with whether or not he feels like, the urge is still there and the what is the word? And hunger, if the hunger is still there for the sport.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. He's definitely going to get fans tuning in regardless just because of how powerful he is. But it is getting to a point that, well, he didn't drop Parker. He didn't drop Zhang. You know what I mean? Eventually, I think those viewers start to believe in his power, especially if he can't knock them down. He can't knock anybody out. Those are going to start to drain. And after, a couple more fights, if it remains as if the same performance against Parker, I can see, him being on undercards and not really been able to headline there for a while. I am interested to hear what you think, though, Rob. Is that something that you could see possibly happening? You're muted, buddy.
I mean, Wilder has to get back out there, period. He has to become more active if he wants to take boxing serious. I think the last time out with his whole Zen thing he had going on or whatever, I hope that he loses that. I hope that he comes prepared and that he's ready to actually fight. Zhang's no pushover. Parker just saw that. He dropped Parker. Parker beat Wilder. So let's be honest. It's not gonna be an easy fight for Wilder.
Zhang's got a kid too. I mean,
And he's got a chin. And he's got a chin. And let's face it, what we're all waiting for with Wilder is we're waiting to see if he got that power back. We're waiting to see if he can still put the shots together. I think it's a must win for him. And if he does not win, I think he will seriously be considering retirement.
Yeah, I mean, especially after a couple of big Saudi paydays. I don't know what he's getting paid to face Zhang, but it's probably not
Mhm.
little by any means.
It's a good fight, though.
Well, it's definitely a good fight.
fight.
I'm just worried about him. That's all. Coach Lou, what's up? Thank you. Russell, that one. Good morning, Fox Playhouse fans. It's always been an honor and a privilege. I give everyone flowers while they can smell them. Enjoy.
Yay, Rosalind.
CJ, this is a career-defining fight for Wilder. You gotta, yeah. It almost feels like a do or die. Maybe we're not to that point yet because Zhang is still a big name. We're not to that do or die yet. Wilder hasn't became a gatekeeper as of yet. So let's see how he does here, Orlando. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, I don't know. I like Wilder. I really want him to get back into his ways. I just worry that Zhang is maybe he needs, and you don't hear me say this a lot. Maybe he needs a jobber. Maybe he needs to knock out a couple dudes, understand what that feels like again, and then go do it against Zhang. I don't know. I'm a little worried for him, guys. Do you? Now I know the fight's still ways. This is off in July, I believe, but do you feel confident that Wilder can get back into the winning ways, or do you feel like his hunger is gone because he seemed very passive in his loss to Parker? You know what I mean? Like he was just okay with taking that L, saying, "Oh, I still have my health, I still have all this," and that's true, but that's not what you want to hear from a hungry boxer.
Yeah, very true. I mean, and I don't know if that was because later he said, "Oh, it was the time difference. I came in late. I didn't have time to adjust." He had a couple of things to say, but it's kind of like the proof is in the pudding, and you're only as good as your next fight. So he's gonna have to show us that he still has that hunger. I think Zhang is a perfect contender to be able to prove that he still has that hunger if he really has the hunger. Because guess what? If he don't, it's gonna show up in this fight with Zhang, and nobody's gonna be trying to hear about time differences and arriving late and this and that. They're gonna be like, dude, you know, we don't see no changes in your camp. We don't see no hunger from you. You're content when you lose. Like,
Your
I mean, we
your
got to see
costume
more
did
than
not
this.
weigh 20 pounds.
Yeah, like we got to see more than this from you. And the thing is that everybody knows the power is still there. But if you're not in the physical shape that you should be in, and you're dealing with a crafty boxer, someone like a Parker, you're not gonna necessarily look great against them because they have tactics to get around and stay away from your big hooks. So you just definitely have to be in shape, and you have to be able to go the distance, and you definitely can't come in with the mentality that you don't care whether you lose or win because you just made paper. So
Yeah,
these are a couple of things that he's got to like be more convincing of if he wants to continue.
for sure.
So and I agree with all those points Shakura made, but for me, it's in the physicality of how bad Wilder looked. And what I mean by that is those knees were very shaky. Those legs were very shaky to me in that fight. He actually weighed less than what he's known for. He's always known to come in 225. So he's always known to come in light as a heavyweight. But on that
Right.
fight, he was only like 215, you know? And legs shaky. He didn't look to be in boxing shape mentally either. So it's the physicality that bothers me. It's the mental work that bothers me with Wilder. Coming out saying, "Hey, thank God neither one of us was hurt at the end of the fight," when you're supposed to be a prize fighter. That don't sit well with me either about him. So mentally and physically, that's what I need to see him get better on if I want to continue to see him in the ring.
Yeah, Orlando says enough with the excuses. He needs a new trainer. Go back to his old style. His new style ain't working. Maybe a new old trainer. He needs to go beg that other trainer and say, "I know you didn't poison me. I know you weren't working against me because those accusations were ridiculous in the first place anyway." And you're not wrong. I mean, he should go back to the way things were, but at the same time, he was an incomplete fighter, and maybe they were trying to train him a little bit too much. Maybe just let him do what he does best and knock motherfuckers out.
I mean, but your legs, like they. Now I'm remembering, based on what Rob was saying, his legs was looking the skinniest I ever seen before. Like,
Yeah,
how are you gonna come up with a big punch when you're not steady? You don't have like your footing and your stability um of your legs planted. You know what I'm saying? Like there's something to him not wanting to run. I'm hearing like he doesn't like to do road work. But at least put some muscle back on your legs. Like, it didn't look good. It just didn't. It didn't.
he's always kind of had some chicken legs, and he's never in proper stance. He never has been. So maybe the fact that he is now is actually a bad thing. Orlando says, "Go out on your shield like you used to stay." He's got chicken legs. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm from the little leg family too. It's something with black folks. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I got some skinny chicken legs too. But at the same time, like if I know I got something coming up and I need to show legs, I mean I got to get out here and walk a little bit more or do some flexing, or some I don't know, some leg lifts, anything. Like it looked like he did nothing,
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
For sure. But yeah, we're gonna see how he actually looks come fight. It is a ways away, July, but I
Mhm.
don't know if he can put meat back on them legs because he really ain't never had it.
Where is this fight gonna be? Did it say where the fight
I
is?
think this is Saudi.
It's still
Sorry.
Saudi
I
again, huh?
believe so. Yeah.
Well, he need to book that trip early, be there a few weeks, and get himself lamented to the new time and be able to put in a little work there. I feel like you can't just fly in the week of, and you got all these engagements and different things people want, interviews, etc. Your week is full, so you're not going to get much work that week either. So he needs to come in like maybe 3 weeks ahead of schedule, and just do it the correct way this time. I mean, shit. And the prince got the money. He can put him up for that amount of time, no problem.
As when we were talking Wilder. Rob, I'm getting ready to change subject. Anything else you want to say about Wilder?
No, I'm glad that he didn't jump right back into the pool against Parker. I will say
Mhm.
that. I'm glad he decided to take uh, another route, go back to the drawing board, and take on a guy who's competitive, but on paper he should be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I wanted to go to this next. The BBC and UKAD win appeal against Ben, and it looks like he's going to still be suspended there in the UK. Um,
Whoa.
for those
Mm.
for those of you that aren't in our group chat, I I don't like anybody that is testing positive, but at the same time, I think Ben's been a while, right? So this is more than
Over a year.
yeah,
Over a year.
this is more than a slap on the wrist. Canelo basically got 6 months, and this dude's getting suspended now even longer. So what do we think about this? Really, is it even going to affect him? Because from what I hear, he's trying to line up Manny Pacquiao, and that's not going to happen in the UK. I'm sure that's going to happen in Vegas or maybe even Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So, is it really going to affect him that bad? I don't think so.
I mean, it affects
No,
him in the fact that he's, still got that allegation hanging over his head, and he can't be home where, his main fans are located. I would say it does affect the boxer. And it's also the fact that it's still legal, ongoing battle that you are trying to go through. Um, trying to prove a certain situation. But for me, it's like now you're giving him more time and punishing him further for even trying to appeal it. Because if he'd have just accepted what they gave him, he would have already been off by now. So now you're just adding on more time as punishment. And I don't really like that scenario because I do feel like sometimes it's bias. It's a lot of bias in how much time boxers are getting. And then also, I don't like it because it's sending the wrong message. Because guess what? They are boxers that have been wrongly accused of things. And it basically is sending a message to UK boxers that, if you try to go up against us or you try to appeal or do anything to clear yourself, then we're just going to give you more time without our licensing. And that's not a great message to send to other boxers. So it's like a threefold of why I don't like it. Now, the thing of it is do you believe what he's saying happened? You know what I'm saying? And that's a big.
And I mean that adds it for me because I mean if you're gonna come up with some bullshit excuses, I'm like, no, you suspended again. Get to the back of the fucking line. Don't be coming here with an egg story. You ain't get no egg. Come on, man. We didn't do this off eggs.
Right. And then also they're probably upset that he just went around them and still legally, maneuver to have fights in the US. So they're probably a little pissed about that too. That he didn't just honor what their punishment was. I think it's a lot of like instead of it being about what he initially did, I think it's now a more personal reasons why they're doing this to him.
Yeah, I mean it does feel like, oh, okay, so you're suspended, and then he's like, but all I did was eat eggs, and they're like, oh, you gonna bullshit us and lie to us too, huh? You can be suspended for longer. Like that's the way it feels, Rob. Is that how you're taking it too?
That's how I'm taking it. Plus, they made a statement with this one. They wanted to use him as an example to what their standards are. Now, does it affect him? No, because that fight that they're trying to negotiate with Manny Pacquiao, they were in Riyadh to start the negotiations. So that one definitely is going to be for Saudi money, and
That's probably
those
another
types of
reason too.
fights, those types of fights are what the Saudis are trying to bring to the table. Look,
Mm-hmm.
um, the dream fights, unfortunately, in boxing, died when Crawford beat the shit out of Spence. Okay, so now we're reaching, but at least they're making things happen over there in Saudi. Um, the UK's biggest opportunity for a fight right now would be Fury AJ. So I really don't think it affects Ben that much, as long as he can get his license and everything back, as long as he doesn't turn into like a lifetime ban.
Yeah, I don't think we're looking at a lifetime ban, but then again, I don't know. Maybe the UK's a little bit more strict, and part of me likes them being a little bit more strict because I think the US is very very lenient. I mean, the most we see is what like a year, and that's even for multiple time offenders. You look at Big Baby Miller, like, come on, man. Like, it should at least be gradual. Oh, this is 1 year the first time, 2 years the next time, third time you're just out. You're out of the sport. You should be banned. Why would we keep allowing it? So part of me does like that. At least they're trying to keep some kind of standard here. Rosalind says, but the future bringing people up to speed in boxing as you speak about each box. Can you post the pictures so they have a little bit more knowledge what they are, please? I would love that. We can start doing that in the future for sure. Thank you for that input. But yeah, I
I
don't know.
Lucas, though, don't you think it's like Rob is saying, like they're trying to make an example out of him, and why him? You know what
Somebody
I'm
has
saying?
to
Like
be.
it's a couple of other people that's in the UK that's gotten away with some stuff. You know, I could
Right.
name a
But
few,
not recently,
and
have
they
they?
just like now all of a sudden you want to make an example out of Connor Ben. Yes, he has a name, but also he's the African, well, he's not an African American, but he's an African United Kingdom fighter. It looks bad that you keep giving all these all the black folks, all the black boxers, you're giving them all this time for infractions, but you're allowing other people to get away and not have anything but slap on the wrist. Like that's what it's starting to look like to me in general. Like so it's like when is enough enough? And stop using a black man as an example. That's my point.
Yeah, I don't think Tyson. If Tyson Fury tested positive, he's still probably just worth too much. I do agree with you. I don't think it would have the same reaction from the BBC or the UKAD just because they're more likely to get their bills paid by Tyson Fury, so to speak.
I mean, but
Um,
not really, because the fight that Conor Ben was going to have was against Chris Eubanks, which was a huge fight for the UK. And now we're talking about Pacquiao money. So it's like, it's not like chump change money we're talking about that they could get paid off of. And Tyson Fury is a big, draw, don't get me wrong. But the fights that the matchups that Conor Ben was trying to have for the UK is also big money. So it's not about that.
I mean, it's always about that. And yeah, he may still have a big fight, but I don't think it's anything still to the level that Tyson Fury brings. Let's see. We got another. Where did it go? My point is that we need to know who these people are because a lot of boxes, but I don't know who they are or what they represent today. A lot of pressure in 2024 in the boxing field, for sure. Hmm?
Is that English?
I'm not sure what you mean there, Juan.
I mean, maybe yeah, we're in English, like, but
What?
maybe he's saying is that
What?
in the UK?
Yeah,
Yes, they're British fight. There's British, they're the British commissioner basically.
yeah. The
Um,
BBC of C that and the UKAD,
yeah,
those ones that
British boxing.
regulation for boxing. Yeah.
Yeah, so they have more like a government type entity over boxing in their country, which we don't have that here. But the thing that we have similar is the ABC, which is the Association of Boxing Commissions, who really they regulate what's going on with states and things like that, because most states will follow what this association says. So we have something similar here, but it's not a government agency like it is there.
I really think it should be.
Yeah.
I think it would be a lot smoother for us here in the states if we did have something of that nature. But I don't know. I'm again. There's times where I'm thinking we need an example, but it's always like no matter who you pick, there's going to be a why him, why now, you know, why. But it needs to happen. I wish it would happen more in the U.S. though. Um, I don't buy the story. So if I'm not buying the story, I already say, suspend him. I don't really care if you're gonna suspend him or let him back in the game. Uh, Cheater's a cheater, but we gotta take it how it comes. I mean,
First
maybe
offense, though, it's his first and only offense. And it's also already, it's going on like what? 12 plus 4 months, 16 months. I mean, come on.
it's a long for the first offense. Yeah,
It's fire. It's
So
also it's like an unevenness, like it's an unfairness when you're not doing it to everybody.
that's true. I don't have anything in front of me saying like who else has tested positive recently to compare it to be like, yeah,
Dillian
he's
White
being
for
treated
one.
unfairly. What did White test positive for? I'm drawing a blank on that one.
I'm not sure what it was, but he had. I mean, he had a fight just the other week. Last week, I think it was. He won like and KO'd somebody in the middle of the week too. I was like, where did this fight
Hmm.
come from?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I'm more forgiving if it's like a diuretic, right? If you're trying to make weight, that's one thing. It's still cheating, and I still am not for it. You still should be suspended. But I think that's a lighter suspension than damn performance enhancing drugs, steroids, anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, I think
I
diuretics should at
agree.
least be less. But I don't know again what he tested
But
positive
he's a
for.
multiple offender. Like he's
Dillian White, yeah. So
yeah,
like
like
you
he's
said, it should
multiply.
be
Had a couple of encounters.
yeah.
So
He should definitely be in there longer. That's for sure. All
yeah, and
right.
Oscar Valdez, the week of the fight, he still fought that week. Like they still had to
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah.
So
Money, money,
there's
money,
examples.
money.
Good observation. Very good
Yeah.
observation. What's next, Lucas?
All right, let's talk. Is this weekend's pay per view worthy of the price? First, Rob already kind of
Mhm.
rolled his eyes a little bit. Of course, we have Zoo versus Fundora. And we talked a little bit of this off air, Sakura, but it does feel like Thurman leaving kind of took a lot of the wind out of the sails. Like a lot of the excitement for this card left for me when Thurman left. I
Oh no, like, cause it's some people out here that was like, I don't want to see Thurman, and oh, he's to this, and oh, he has been late. Like they had so many excuses why, and also didn't think he brought much entertainment to the card. But now we see like this is fight week, and it's no buzz. I mean, I hate to say it, like it's a little like I was looking forward to that matchup with him and Tim Zoo, and now I don't have that. Instead, I have Fundora, which is also a good competitive fight. Um, but Fundora just doesn't have the name that Keith has, obviously, and he's not a shit talker like Keith can be. So it's not that enjoyment in the pre-fight stage. Um, Now it's going to be like, how can Tim perform against a way taller fighter? You know what I'm saying? We want to see what he's able to do with the what is his name, the Towering Inferno.
yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna see how he deals with a fighter with when he's not the same physicality as that fighters, but um yeah, I need to see more this week. I mean, and of course we got Rolly versus Pitbull Cruz as the co-main event, which is actually the fight that I'm more excited about seeing at this point. Does it pay-per-view worthy me? I like how that sounded. Um Is it pay per view worthy of me? Yes, I think I still want to pay to see this new platform, the PBC on Amazon Prime. The way things are gonna look different. I can size up things like that. They need to go ahead and give me a call so I can commentate. Obviously, I mean they do some new faces, right?
For
So
sure.
I mean, I just gotta size it all up, and then also, that like I said, the fight for me that I really want to see is Rolly versus Pitbull. Rolly swears he's gonna knock the guy out, and so I just want to see how he thinks he's gonna knock out, like the goat like chin of Pitbull Cruz. He's gonna be there to be hit, but is it gonna be enough to actually lay him out? So that's the question, that the like question mark, question mark, question mark. I want to know that. And then of course to me, Tim Zoo versus Fundora. Um, I want to see, it's gonna be more of like what I want to see technically. from Tim Cruz, and I mean from Tim Zoo. And if he can get through the Inferno, I mean, we're saying that this could be Bud Crawford's next opponent. So there is some great things about this pay per view that is going to let us know a little bit more about where things are headed in that 154-pound division.
For sure. I mean, you got to pay to see basically who's Bud's next opposition is. It is that enough for you, Rob, to pay for this?
Hell no. Hell no. Listen, we just had a guy on here earlier comment and say exactly what everyone is thinking. Who are these new guys, right? Who are these new fighters out here in 2024?
Yeah.
We need to showcase fights like these. These are good fights, and being that they will be competitive. Fundora is no joke. He takes his craft serious. He's always competitive, win or lose. Just because he has that one loss doesn't mean he's not going to be prepared. And Zoo is the most active fighter in what, 2023, right? Or at least the year before that. He was one of the most active fighters in boxing, if not the activest fighter.
Very true.
So we've seen a lot of Zoo coming up, and people still don't know his name. Raleigh, let's face it, Raleigh got his name off of losing the Tank, okay?
He
Because
did.
he talked a good game. But he did make a name for himself for that. And Pitbull Cruz, the opposite. He got his name because he fought well against Tank. Went the 12 rounds. So, Will, I'm just saying that's true.
No, it's true.
So, with that being said, we need to see these guys in a showcase bout like this. But if you're going to give it to us and make us pay, give it to us at a discount.
I agree with you.
I'm really upset with the $69.99 charge. It's the first fight on the new platform there with Prime. The prices on Prime, you already pay a subscription fee. And I don't even think they have even ever had an event this high on their platform before.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you're right. It's
So
But what is
so
it for the
why
football stuff that they have Thursday nights?
free
yeah, it's free.
with the subscription? Free
Yeah,
with the
there
subscription.
is no pay per
They
view.
do have one MMA events, but those price tags
Mm-hmm.
are $34.99, $39.99.
Gotcha.
Most
UFC.
movies you find on there, $30. Follow the same price point at least for this entry because we want to see good fights. We
Definitely.
want people obviously get to know these young fighters, and the best way to do that is to at least discount your pricing. If you're not going to give it
Yeah.
to us for free, at least give it to us at a discount because I don't even think Zoo warrants no $30 million prize fight. I don't think anybody on this card warrants a prize fight of that magnitude. So we know the fighters aren't getting paid that much.
Look, I like Tim Zoo. I think he's a good fighter. I just don't think he is a pay per view fighter. I don't
Yeah.
see that. Like I don't like him quite that much. Uh, and to be honest with you, once Thurman left, I'm thinking, why is this still the main event? Why is it still the
Oh,
main event?
damn.
I mean, there's other good fights on here. This is you got 3 or 4 at least decent fights to look forward to in this event. But
Well, you got a
you
title
took off
fight
that
in Laura.
yeah, but there's 4 title fights. The point is though
Oh
you
yeah,
you
that's
you took the main name off the card for me was Thurman. That was the selling fight. You got 2 big names going at each other. That's the selling fight. So after that, I can only agree, and we're going to change it to now. Will Rolando Romero versus Isaac Cruz steal the show? Because that's the way I'm reading this. Like both fought Tank rather well. Just Raleigh got clipped. That's all. But Raleigh was winning, right? Wasn't he winning until the stoppage?
I would say he was, yeah, he was
It
definitely
was close.
He
It
was
was
doing
close.
pointing,
well.
doing, having some good moments in that fight before Tank, finished him. He just, cause me, for me, it's like he did Rolly look good in that fight, right? Up
Mhm.
until he didn't. But I don't know if that was because Javante allowed him to be looking that good and was just waiting for the correct moment to really, find the opening to catch him the way he wanted to. Um, so it's still a question mark for me on that one.
Okay. Brett, actually, before I go to that comment, Brett, I did want to go back to this. Asparagus is a natural diuretic in celery and pickled gherkins. Did not know that. Thanks for the information. That is good stuff. Keep those kind of
Asparagus.
comments coming. I can't eat no asparagus, but I mean, if I'm trying to lose weight, maybe I could. Brett says Pitbull versus Raleigh will be more entertaining in Zoo versus Fundora. Well, Zoo will go out to stop him within 6 rounds. Um, we got CJ. Fundora might spoil the apple card. I think I read that one already. Lara versus Zafar, maybe more entertaining than the. Yeah, I agree there.
Mm.
Actually, Raleigh likes to come forward with that jab. Might just work in Pitbull's favor since he's at his best in the pocket. Roslyn says everything's got a price tag on it today. Don't make no sense, and then don't even get a good fight. That's true. That's true. I mean, honestly, I think a good thing that they could sell too is just like, hey, come see what this is going to look like. This is a whole new first fight on Prime. So, see the commentating, see how good the presentation's going to be. And if it's done really well, then I think they're going to do good as far as selling fights in the future. But this is a big thing. They cannot fumble like DAZN and have blackouts and all of a sudden audio cut out. Now you got to have your dot your I's and cross your T's,
Right.
or you're going to have some problems keeping up because
Well,
DAZN is not doing well either. Brett Pitbull will most likely KO Romero like Tank did in the late rounds. We'll get to some of those previews here in just a second. Um, it's the main event because Zoo has a pay-per-view deal now. It's a unification. He has a pay-per-view deal? Like everything Zoo does is going to be pay-per-view? Why? Nothing against Zoo. I like Zoo. But I just don't see pay-per-view. But again, I'm anti pay-per-view, so maybe that's just me.
I
I
mean,
don't
but
know.
maybe
You
maybe
think
because he's able to still, fill arenas over in Australia, they
But he
feel
ain't gonna be
that
able to
he's,
do that here, right? Like, do you
yeah,
think he
like
can go sell out Vegas? I don't know.
I know, but you're talking about all those fans in Australia now paying for the pay-per-view because they're, huge fans of his. Like,
Right,
so
but
maybe that did factor in some.
I don't know. But their pay per view ain't our pay per view. Their pay per view ain't $70 goddamn dollars or higher. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
would like to know what their pay per view is because when we hear about Ireland and the UK and when our friends tell us how much, like, oh, that's only $30 here, or that's
yeah,
only $22, you'll be like, what? Oh my God, they are suckering us
yeah.
so bad as Americans. But the thing of it is that we always had the established, home advantage, and there's always been like more champions here, more high level boxing, but that's changing now. Like, we're not necessarily like the only big hub for, major boxing anymore. So we should
No,
not be shouldering, the
the
majority of
weight.
the
Yeah,
high pay-per-views, I would say. Now, I was looking forward to thinking that PBC would be able to like find a way to gain more subscribers for Amazon and then show off the platform, because the next fight in is Canelo versus Munguiao, as far as pay-per-views are concerned. So it would have been like a huge opportunity to maximize even more fan base with that. But hey, they like, y'all gonna pay for this anyway, so we're gonna take this money because we know you want to see the platform and you want to see the actual fights, matchups. We got 4 championship fights, so I'm like, you know what, yeah, you're right, take my money.
yeah. I mean, they could really could. I mean, Amazon, if they want to get a lot of subscribers, just say, hey, just subscribe, and we'll foot this bill, we'll foot this Canelo pay per view for the first time, and that's a way to pay for your subscribers. But
Yeah.
CJ, I am a team Pitbull. I want to see rematch between him and Tank. So do I. But as Tank said, Tank does not. He does not want to fight him again. He said that legitimately. So, yeah, I appreciate Tank for at least being honest. That's a tough fight. I mean, I think Tank's toughest fight. I mean, to be honest.
Yeah, he lived to tell the tale. I mean, that's the only person that survived Tank Davis so far.
Literally, too. Quite literally
Yeah.
survived Tank Davis. All right. Brett says, yeah, he made a pay-per-view deal with his promotional team. I swear you guys won't be disappointed in Zoo. It's not disappointed. It's not that at all. It's just, again, anti-pay-per-view.
The value for the money for you is decreased now
Yeah,
that Thurman is not included in the lineup. So
definitely.
Thurman will be absolutely, positively happy to hear that.
Well, I mean, it is a good step up, too, for Zoo. I think a win over Fundora doesn't do as much for me as a win over Thurman. I mean, it just doesn't.
Mhm.
It just doesn't. Now, again, this is still a good card. You got Julio Cesar Martinez. I know you might not care about that being a flyweight, Rob.
I like that matchup. I
I
like this matchup a lot.
yeah, I do. I think that's going to possibly steal a show too. Then
Mhm.
Brian Mendoza is also on the undercard. Uh,
Yeah, he's got to do his comeback too.
yeah, and Laura Zarafa may even be a surprise in there. But
Mhm.
um, Brett says it's $60 here for all of Zoo's fights. Wow.
Okay, so wait, is that UK or that's
$10
Australia?
discount.
Yeah. Wait. Where you at, Brett? Sorry, we're not
It
sure.
might be in the UK.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But let's
Don't you hate
continue
it when
on here.
I got a mosquito in here and he's trying to bite my legs? Ugh.
Blood
But
too
Welcome to
that's that
strong.
Florida.
noise you hear.
All right. So let's do preview predictions, but let's not do Tszyu-Fundora just yet. I don't know if we want to do the Lara fight. Let's do Pitbull Romero. How do you guys see that happening? Let's start with you, Rob. You've been quiet for a little bit.
Pitbull versus Raleigh. I like the fight on paper, but to be honest, judging off of Raleigh's last bout against a very tough older fighter. Now, the guy won his last fight recently, actually won by TKO. So he might be a tough competitor right now. But there were some very distinct flaws in that fight. And I feel like Raleigh's opponent that night is a mini version of what Pitbull does. Pitbull just does it with more pressure. He's more intense and even more power.
Hmm.
I think Raleigh's in up against his own head in this one again, and I absolutely see a repeat of the Tank Davis fight. I think Cruz stops him, and I don't even think it'll go that far. I think Pitbull stops him in 5 rounds or less.
Okay. Sakura?
Yeah, I don't see that scenario. I think we're gonna have like a split decision in favor of Pitbull Cruz. I do not see Romero stopping Cruz. Um, we're talking about somebody that was able to withstand punches from Tank. Do we think that Rolly punches as hard as Tank? I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I wouldn't definitely wouldn't know because I'm not getting in the ring, but I haven't heard any boxers or sparring partner, anybody saying, "Oh yeah, he hits harder than Tank." I haven't heard that, so I'm feeling like this is going to be a split decision. And I think because of the pressure and the amount of aggression that Pitbull has in there, that he's gonna get the decision. That's my personal opinion, but I could be proven wrong because Rolly has been hit or miss with his performances. So, but I definitely don't see a knockout. So either way, I just see it being a split decision in favor of one or the other. Right now, I feel like it's Cruz with his chin. But it's the punch you don't see, right? So it could be something like that if it does happen. But Rolly, he just needs to look good to me. To me, he just needs to look good in this fight and prove that he belongs to have this championship level prize fighting title associated with his name.
Yeah, well said. Um, it's hard for me. This one is. I haven't seen enough of Romero to get a good feel for how this is going to go.
Yeah.
But for me, it seems like Raleigh's going to be able to keep that range and keep Isak Cruz at range for a while. It's just a matter of when does Isak just start eating punches to be able to get in on the inside. So it's definitely going to be a tale of two halves of the fights. It's just when does that second half start? I really see him kind of just keeping him at range for maybe the first 3 or 4, but then Isak's going to just take a few to be able to get in and land some punches, and is going to turn. And I see, a late round stoppage for Isak Cruz as well. He's just going to wear him out. I mean, Isak's not one of them guys that's, one knockout guy. He's more of a lumberjack. He's gonna chop you down. And Romero can box really well. So that's what I mean is like, just when will that finally take over? Now, if Romero can keep him off of him for long enough, he can win a unanimous decision and a wide unanimous decision. But is he able to box moving backwards with the pressure that Isak Cruz can bring? I severely doubt it. My money is still on Isak Cruz. I'm going with late round stoppage.
One last point, and I think it's very interesting to bring up with these two fighters, but I find it utterly amusing that both Raleigh and Cruz want to use this fight to try and get a rematch with Tank.
I mean, you think about it, that's the money, right? I mean, I wouldn't say he's the face of boxing, but he's a face of boxing. He's damn sure the face of the lower weights. That's Tank right now. I mean, there's other good fighters down there. I don't want to disrespect Stevenson. I don't want to disrespect Haney and Lomachenko. All very talented, Ryan Garcia included. But one name sticks out above the rest, and that's Tank Davis.
But wouldn't you want to see Tank Davis against some of those names?
I mean, I do. I've been calling for the rematch against Isak Cruz for a long time, but there is a lot of fights out there for Tank. So
there's still a lot of fights out there for Isak Cruz.
Well, that's true.
But he has to prove that. Well, I don't think he has anything else to prove. I mean, he's gotten through some tough fights. I even forgot about the Gamboa fight that he had. And he stopped him when Devin Haney went a whole 12 rounds, you know what I'm saying? For a decision. So I mean, there's some signature.
So did Tank, yeah.
Yeah, and so did Tank. So it's some signature fights that there's some signature fights for Isak, whereas Rolly has names, not that they're not worthy, but he has some names without Tank on his record. It's like who did he fight that we knew? So Rolly needs to get busy and start fighting name boxers too. So this is a great test for both of these guys, but I'm saying Rolly really needs to look good because he didn't look good in his last fight.
Yeah, that's true. Let's go up and go to the main event here. Tszyu-Fundora. Who wants to take it?
I mean,
Yeah,
I really haven't studied this fight other than to know that they're like, two totally different size and weights and heights, and that I feel like the reach and the jab is key for Fundora, being that he has that long extension that he can use to his advantage to keep Tim Tszyu on the outside of his fights. But what Tim Tszyu really should do is study Parker and how he handled fighting Wilder with a stiff jab, and how he was able to get around that jab and go below that jab. So he needs to kind of like get some tips from how that fight went. But I in the end believe that this could be an upset. Because Fundora mentally has to like really win this fight, because he was knocked out in his last fight from Mendoza, who Tim Tszyu was able to get rid of. And so it's a situation where I be like Fundora needs this fight more than Tim Tszyu does, if that makes sense. But probably not to Tim Tszyu now. Tim Tszyu be like, nah, I need this fight because I'm at the top of the heat right now. Since Charlo is out of the running and semi-retiring for the moment, so I now have the opportunity to be the king of this division, and I want to fight with Bud Crawford for more money. So they both have reasons to like really pour on the aggression and try to be slick boxers in there at the same time. Tim Tszyu with his power is always something that we now know Fundora needs to watch out for. And he's going to have to use that reach in order to and the length of his arms to be able to keep Tim Tszyu outside. He does not need to have a situation where he's in there, in the pocket, tussling and rotating and trying to because one thing Fundora does sometimes is he when he backs up, he has that chin up, and
Mhm.
on top of that, sometimes he bends in, and that takes away his height advantage. And that's something that he does not need to be trying to do in a fight against a heavy puncher like Tim Tszyu. So at the moment, I feel like Fundora is going to be more mentally prepared for this fight and do or die mentality. And for Tim Tszyu, it's about him being the more active fighter, as Rob was saying. That's his advantage. He's just more active and he's been busier. Fundora has been out for, I think it's almost a year since him and Mendoza's fight. So, Tim Tszyu has that advantage. And if he can figure out a way to get around that jab or underneath that jab, and make Fundora fight the fight that he wants, then he has the possibility of winning the fight. So it's two scenarios. If Fundora keeps him on the outside, then it's a Fundora fight and a Fundora win. If Tim Tszyu figures out how to get on the inside and he starts wanting to go, toe to toe with Tszyu, I feel like that's in favor of Tszyu. So, right now, I'm gonna go with Fundora.
All right. I like it.
so
Going with
so this
Fundora.
I'm going with Fundora
It's the
because
upset.
I got it. That it would be an upset. Number one. Number two, it would like. I mean, wouldn't you want to see Bud and how he actually deals with somebody that tall too?
I'm not gonna lie. The build of Fundora, I agree with you. I think just the build of Fundora is gonna cause its issues all its own. How long has Zoo? How long has it been since Zoo's been punching up that far? You know what I
It
mean?
might never. It might be never. Like
Yeah,
we don't know.
it might not have been. But
What's the
Robert,
average height of boxers in Australia? You know what I'm saying?
yeah, it's in that division
so
too.
Yeah.
so the there's plenty of differences in this fight. One of the keys also being that Zoo's been heavily training for a different fighter through the whole camp in Keith Thurman, and now he's facing a completely different fighter in Fundora. Fundora, as far as activity goes, I mean, Fundora and Keith Thurman both have been outside of the ring for a long period of time. So that goes in Zoo's favor there as well. The thing is I like fighters who are able to study their opponents. I like
Mm-hmm.
fighters who study and come up with a game plan to actually hinder and pull out weaknesses in their opponents. Whereas I feel like Fondora, from what I've seen, he's a little too young, he's a little too green. He hasn't been able to do that so far yet in his career. He goes more off instinct. This is why he had a barn burner of a fight against Erickson Lubin.
That's
Also
a, that's
why
a,
he
that's a
lost
learning experience.
also why he lost to Mendoza because he's relying more on instinct as far as studying and taking advantage of his opponent's weaknesses.
Mm.
Zoo's been at this status, at this level for a while now. As Shakur pointed out, the activity has actually got him there. So now he's in the spotlight and he's been here before. So I know he'll be ready. The question is will he be ready against an opponent that wasn't supposed to be there and probably somebody he hasn't been able to fully study or get a hold of yet, quite yet. So that all those things do point to this fight being interesting. Um, in terms of wills, they both want this fight. Fondora wants to get back into the spotlight. He was a huge, heavy prospect. People were predicting him to be undefeated, which is why the loss to Mendoza was such a surprise. So I think he took time off because that stung a little bit. So I
Mm-hmm.
know he's gonna be ready for action. And then Zoo, of course, he's Mr. Pay-per-view man right now. He says he's Mr. Money Man in the division right now. He says, according to Zoo, all roads have to go through him. So he is the one that knows he needs to make a statement in this fight, especially all the eyes that'll be there, being this is the first prime event for Amazon.
Mm.
So it's really going to come down to, in my opinion, the activity, the experience, all of the things that led up to this night. I just see Zoo with the bigger advantage. I think he's had so many experiences at this point, so many fights now. He's gonna be like a machine in there. He's gonna be well oiled. He's gonna be ready, and he's going to do what he needs to do to make that statement victory. And I
Okay.
think by that making that statement, I think he knocks Fondora out
Mm.
late in the fight, but I don't think it'll go past 9 rounds.
Oh wow.
Oh, let's see. James says he's got Zoo by KO,
Okay. What's up, James?
Pitbull over Raleigh by knock the fuck out.
Oh, he sees a KO in that one.
Yeah.
You know, James is pretty good with these predictions now. When we had our betting game going on, he was like racking up him and Javi.
Well, he
Yeah,
picked both
he,
choices that I did tonight, so he's in good with me.
all good,
Oh
Sakura.
boy. That
Um,
might be a jinx right there.
yeah, I, I do think Fundora has challenges, but I don't think it's anything necessarily that Zoo's not going to be able to overcome. Um, if you could only cheat or maybe they tried, maybe they can't. But if they can teach Fundora to use his height and use his range, be able to fight backing up if he needs to, but it just hasn't all came together. What happened by Mendoza's hand was gonna happen, right? Because he kind of leaves the chin out there. It's even more exposed because you can tuck it in all you want, but I'm a foot shorter than you. That's the first thing I'm going to be able to hit. You know, it he doesn't use his God's natural gifts, and it's always fought against him. Tszyu's going to still have to work for this win, but unfortunately, I do see him getting Mendoza'd around 6 or 7. But I think he's getting knocked out again. Probably worse looking than what Mendoza did to him.
I mean, I just feel like he's probably watched that a million times now, Fundora, right. And I would be very surprised if he didn't learn from that, and do some serious, retraining on that particular punch setup. I would be very surprised if he goes down with the same punch.
Yeah.
Maybe something different, maybe, but not that same setup.
And Tszyu, I mean, he's a good body puncher, and there's a lot of body on Fundora. I don't, even if he was able to move, he's going to start digging to that big long body, and he's going to wear him down eventually and get to him. It's just a matter of how he gets to him. And he's going to get to him. It's going to be a knockout. It's just about mid-fight. Brett, only problem I see is these awkward angles that Fundora throws. I've got Tszyu within 6 rounds. I mean, those are angles that, are never going to get recreated because, most dudes in that weight division aren't going to be that height. You got to start, boxing 1 to 2 weight divisions above you in sparring, to get that recreation. Tim will hit that big noise.
Tim will, what is that?
Will hit that big noise.
Oh, maybe it's that big nose. He's probably saying big nose. I don't like the big nose jokes. Damn it! Come on, Blue. But I will just say. I mean, Tim, if he gets to the chin, Mendoza showed us that he is breakable. You see what I'm saying? Like before, it was like, damn, if his guy we don't even know if he has a great chin or not. But if he does, see, it was like a lingering question there. But now that question is answered. And we now know that if you get to that chin and you punch him correctly, or the punch he doesn't see, then you got your man. Right. So that's why it's like crucial that his defense is, solid in this fight. But he does have power too with his extension. So I mean, it's a situation where maybe we do see Tim and how good of a chin he really has. I mean, because Harrison, when Harrison fought him, he's not known for power, and who else did he fight besides Mendoza? Never got a chance to really punch him, no. Like solidly. So if Fundora can find a home somewhere, especially with the uppercuts, we're going to see a test for him too.
Okay. For sure. And like I said, I think if Fundora could fight tall, I think that's a different ball game. But it's something maybe we'll never get answered. Rob?
I mean, yeah, but honestly, I think Tszyu with the body shots and everything, I don't think that will matter. I don't think it'll matter. Tszyu's a big time fighter. He really is. And people push him off because we haven't seen the Charlo fight or nothing yet. He earned it. He earned the fight with Charlo. And then
very true.
Charlo robbed us to go chasing the bag.
And Charlo, we can't blame him for doing so. He got the lottery ticket, so he had to go get that money. Now, let's not say he was wrong for that, but I will
It's something we would
say,
all do.
yeah, it's something that every last one of us would do. But my thing is, is when are we gonna see him again? It's like, is you gonna let this huge payday stop you from, being great in your own right? Or are you just gonna be known as the Charlo that fought Canelo? That's something that he's gonna have to make up mentally in his mind if he's comfortable with that or not. I wouldn't be comfortable with it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, I gotta come back and prove some more stuff. Because he's been undisputed champion at 154, but that was without fighting Tim Tszyu. So that's gonna be his nemesis if he doesn't ever fight him.
He said, Brett says, remember, Zoo is the son of a champion, and we ain't talking Junior Chavez here. That's good.
Yes, Brett, he definitely is. I just was reading that his father lives back in Russia now. And so he said he doesn't see him. He talks to him all the time, but he doesn't see him anymore. I was like, why in the world would you go back to Russia right now?
Nowhere safe.
What were you thinking?
Russia.
Yes.
A little rough. Rob, does any of these bets look enticing to you?
Does it?
No.
Not me either.
Because who the favorite is who I'm picking.
Yeah. Same.
The favorite in each of these, I'm picking by knockout. So no, I would not take Fundora. I would not take Raleigh at all. And Cruz's odds are a little slimmer, are much, much slimmer here than Fundora's chances. But yeah, I wouldn't bet on none of them.
Well, I guess I got a chance if I want to put my money where my mouth is with Fundora. I got a chance of winning some bucks.
I mean, I think it's at least worth the bet. I mean, it's good odds for Fundora. For a fight, I don't see that wide. I really don't. You got to see the style clash in that first couple rounds. You'll be able to tell how the fight's going to go. But until then, yeah, it's kind of left as a guess. But I don't think it's quite as one-sided as Vegas has got it out to be.
We'll see how it is later in the week when more bets are placed and everything.
True. All right, guys, let's switch back to something we've been working on. Rob's rapid fire. Last week, it's a continuation because last week we were doing a pound for pound tournament, and this is again imagining if they're all the same size, same weights, pound for pound.
In a Final Four March Madness style.
Exactly. A little hard to explain, but awesome. So, Rob, you can go ahead and
I got it. I just got to remember.
Okay.
Did you guys pick Tank or Stevenson?
Tank.
I think we picked Tank.
Yeah, we picked
Tank.
Tank.
That's what I thought. Okay, so yeah. I got it. All right. So this is our Final Four March Madness style matchups, people. It was a pound for pound list. We went through all the matchups here. We had a few crazy matchups along the way, but we actually had some great matchups and some fights that we actually want to see. So we ended up to the Final Four. You have Terrence Crawford, Bud Crawford, our number one on the list, taking on the monster anyway.
Okay.
And then in the second bracket, you have Usyk taking on Gervonta Tank Davis. Let's start at the top, Lucas. Terrence Crawford anyway. Again, this is if they were the same size. So you really got to take skill and all the other attributes in these matchups.
Oh man,
what do you have Crawford versus Inu?
This one's hard.
Yeah, it really is.
But I do start to remember some of the thought processes I was having during last week's episode. And as good as Crawford is, I just don't know if he starts kind of slow in some of his fights, and I just don't know if he'd be able to withstand the relentlessness that Inoue is. I mean, with the volume punching and the relentless pressure, I just don't think Bud would be able to stand up to that. I'm favoring Inoue.
Okay. Damn. I really got to stick with Bud on this one. I think the aggressiveness and the killer instinct, and then the skill level. Like, I mean, he just, you do one thing, he's got a different thing he can try to get you with, and then he's got another, type of style to counter that if it didn't work out with an Inoue fight in the beginning. So I feel like he just got so many different ways that he can try to lower your defenses and overcome that. I gotta go for Bud. Come on, Bud Crawford for the win.
James on my side. Inoue over Crawford. Inoue never been down. Let's see. Brett says the pace Inoue would create. I don't know if Bud can make the necessary adjustments. It's a lot, right? I mean, we've seen him make adjustments, but to make that adjustment, I don't know. Well, I don't know. But Rob?
So, James, you don't count tonight because you're not on the show.
Hey!
So that means that I get to be the deciding factor here because we have 1-for-1.
I knew you were
now,
gonna try to do this.
This is what I'm going to judge it off of. I 100% agree with you guys with Inoue's pace, his aggression, his pressure, and I also agree, Lucas, Bud has been known to get tested with pressure.
Don't hurt James.
The biggest difference here is we've seen Bud tested, and he's turned it up even higher. He's turned it up even more. And yes, to James' point, we've seen him even hit the canvas and come up off the canvas and dominate and win. We haven't seen that from the monster yet. Yes, he's a tough son of a gun, but skills pay the bills. I got Bud Crawford moving on.
I knew it.
All right. I got one right. All right. I'm good.
So,
I mean, that one is close. It was hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
Our next bout is probably going to be harder. Lucas is going to have trouble on this one. Whatever.
Inoue too.
Inoue.
This one's going to be harder for Lucas.
CJ knows
because Lucas just can't get past weight when we talk fighters. But
don't their votes count? We can have a separate branch for the fans.
Lucas, Usyk versus Gervonta Tank Davis.
Oh man, just to fathom this fight is impossible. Like, it's so hard. And it's also so one-sided on both ways. It is in my brain, an all offensive and an all defensive side, because I mean the defensive skills that Usyk possesses, and the ability to counterpunch versus Tank's just all out aggression and and he hits like a tank. That's where we got the name. And oh man, it's rough. I mean, it's basically just pick a name at this point.
Come on, Lucas, try.
But Usyk, even though he's been landed heavy, he's gone up to heavyweight, we still haven't really seen him eat a lot of leather. I mean, that's credit to say how good of a defensive fighter he is.
True.
But to be
But
able to
Dubois,
stay,
Dubois caught him though.
but
He caught him
Tank,
to the body.
when we're talking pound for pound, if Usyk and him are the same size, I got to go with Tank. I think that power is unmatched. It's some of the power that really we haven't seen for quite some time. And I think anybody that is his size and not doing some weight bully shit, he has the ability to knock out. So I'm rolling with Tank, but it's hard.
That's a surprise.
It's
That's
hard.
a surprise. Shakura?
Yeah, it's easy for me to say Tank because I think that people automatically just go with power with Tank, but he got some skills. Like he's shown in some of his last fights, even with the Ryan Garcia fight, targeting the body, making Ryan feel like he was going to go to the head, and then just knowing exactly when to pull the trigger on the body. And that's one thing that Usyk was caught with. I mean, I know people are going to say, no, it was low, but no, it wasn't. And he got caught to the body. So that is a suspect area. And it is an area that Tank knows how to target. And he gets you frustrated. And then when I look at Usyk, he's great defensive fighter. But the offense, it's like, how are you going to stop a Tank from coming at you? Is he going to be able to make Tank Davis respect his power? And I don't think so. I don't think so because Tank is Tank also, not just for the power, but he's a Tank also for the chin. So I think that this would actually be a fight that is easily won by Tank. Sorry, Usyk, because I love you.
I wholeheartedly agree with every single one of your decisions, but James on this one.
Hey, maybe I'm not done looking at them all. No, never mind. That's it. He's the other one to pick you.
Wait, what did James say exactly?
So James says Usyk over Tank. Tank dominant in early rounds. Usyk indoors wins late rounds. Usyk by split decision. I can see that though. That's a good preview
for a minute.
A good style clash there. And I can definitely see James's fight coming to fruition. But
and I can see it the same way Brett does. Okay, Brett was right about everything. It's the angles, it's the velocity, it's vintage. This is what people don't understand. Why Tank is so popular. It's vintage Mike Tyson. Okay, he stalks his prey. He stalks them like the predators. He don't care if he's down in the fight. He don't care if it's close. He don't care if he looks good. He's gonna find the knockout. He sniffs it out. He lures you in, and as soon as he lands the punch, lights is out. Lights out. So,
but she said, I just
like
Googled Tank.
So I just Googled Tank, knockout young boy. I know a lot of boxers, but not my names. I understand that. Yeah, we'll start putting up some pictures and stuff of the guys we're talking about. That's a good suggestion.
Gervonta Tank Davis knows how to get on the inside. He knows how to set up punches. And he knows how to catch you off guard. What did he do with the Romero fight? He allowed him, he toyed with him, he let him feel like he was in control, and then bam! As he was coming in, he knew exactly when to get him. Leo Santa Cruz, another situation where he allowed Leo to get off and do what he wanted to do. And as soon as they got to slugging and he wasn't paying attention, bam, the uppercut he wanted to land. We got so many different, cases of this with Tank. And it's just like obvious at this point that it's more than just knockout power. It's skill to that.
I hear you, and I'm still picking Tank. My question comes into like, what's like the best defensive fighter that he's faced? He has not faced anybody
Best
close
defense?
to what Usyk's defense is going to be.
Yeah, I could see that definitely. That part is lacking.
Because Leo's coming right
With
at you. You know,
Yeah, Leo was standing in the
There,
pocket.
a lot of his guys. I mean,
Cruz
yeah,
right in his face.
yeah.
there,
Um,
there's the only comparison that I could draw to it, and the problem is this guy doesn't have the skill set of Usyk. But if you look at all the attributes in the fight, is when he fought Pedraza, because Pedraza was such a veteran at that time. He knew how to give him different looks. He knew how to play defense in there. And Tank was such a young fighter, and he frustrated him for the first several rounds until Tank got busy. So I'm not saying that he has the same level of defense that Usyk does, but in that scenario, when you look at it, that was a defensive fighter that he fought at a veteran level when he was so much younger.
No, I mean I hear you and I agree. And with like Brett here, Brett says Tank lures them into overcommitting and being off balance, and then bam. I can't see Usyk doing that, right? Like the self discipline is so high for Usyk that I can't see him overcommitting, and he's never going to be off balance. Anything that's going to put him off balance, he's not going to do. When's the last time you've seen Usyk do any kind of lunging, punches? It just doesn't happen, right? Like everything is in the box, it's in the box. He never overcommits. He never does any looping anything, right? It's all straight right down the middle. It's all quick move, and I'm out. He doesn't load up even. I
Yeah,
mean, it's rare that you see that.
yeah,
yeah,
So we're talking about
back to what
overcommitting.
Shakur,
Overcommitting. He doesn't commit. He's a
but
solo man, right?
but back to what
A bachelor.
Shakur was pointing out though, is he got caught in the midsection. He got caught in the body last time, and he went down for a 10 count. It's
I know.
just the referee didn't see it as a legal body shot.
Look, I'm sorry, CJ, because I know you want to get to the final.
I'm trying to
But
tell. I'm trying to get in
listen,
there.
we trying
listen.
to.
You talking me into changing it for Usyk because what do I say?
Okay, but it
What
doesn't
do I
matter
say?
because
No,
he already
Get in,
voted.
Okay,
get
it
in,
doesn't
get
even
off,
matter.
get out, right? Treat your
Yeah, but
opponent like a
that's
booty
another
call.
point
And
I
who does
made.
that though? Usyk
Yeah,
would
but
be
I
able
made
to
another
do that.
point. Remember, my other point was Usyk in offense. In order for him to win, he also has to put output into a Tank Davis, and he's gonna have to make it look good. It's the punches that are effective, and I just don't see
Man, this
him
is
being effective against somebody like a Tank Davis because
But I'm
he'll
sorry,
sit
CJ.
there and let you play with you and let you be defensive minded, and then he's still gonna like end up getting what he wants in the end.
I think this conversation could go on a very long time.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
There's some little
CJ.
Maybe we
These
nuances.
are
should
all
save the
valid
finals
points.
for next week. Maybe
I,
we should save
But
the finals for next week.
really though, I would now anybody
no,
that's
this is a well of a final, and CJ's
a
right. We
good,
got to get to it. We
it's
No,
got
a
to
we
get
need
good
to it.
CJ
This
to
is
fantasy
a
wait
fight
well
until
tonight.
of a
next
fight.
week.
Really
We
good.
have Terrence Bud Crawford versus Gervonta Tank Davis.
I mean,
See
at
us
least
next
it's
week. See us next week. We're sorry, CJ, to put you in suspense.
We gotta hook you. We gotta hook you for next week,
We
CJ.
got to hook you
To
for
be
next week.
continued. You got all
We
week
got
to
a well
figure
of
out
a,
whether you
and this is
prefer
why.
Tank
Yeah, this is
Davis.
why I really want my
Yeah.
panel to think about this because it. Let's be honest. If you're talking Terrence Bud Crawford versus Gervonta Tank Davis,
Mm.
these are the two biggest fighters in the game right now.
yeah. And I mean,
Yeah.
another. I'm kind of glad that Tank won now because honestly, I mean, Usyk Crawford would just be to this all over again, and let's not do that. Let's avoid that. So yeah, I also agree. Even though I'm sorry, CJ, I know, damn, I'm sorry. I do think that it is better that we have a little bit more, fire. Let me think about it some more. Let me pull up some statistics. I think it'll make my argument even better.
Okay, well, let's just like say, CJ, you got all week to figure out why you think, Javante would beat a Bud if they were the same size, or why you feel Bud would beat a Javante Tank Davis if they were the same size. So you got all week to try to come up with things
Mm.
that go towards what your instinct says. Hmm.
I like it. And Brett says also Usyk ain't fought a guy with Tyson height skills and those angles and power ratio, and I fully agree with you. You're right.
Okay.
It's all about how do we think they're going to react if they were in that scenario, and we just don't. CJ's okay with it. All right. Thanks,
All
CJ.
right. To be continued.
We appreciate you all tuning in, all your comments. Keep them rolling in. Think about your pound for pound argument. And you know what? If you even want to comment or send us a message with your pound for pound argument, we'll get you on the show for next week. Check us
Like
out every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And as always, we don't pull any punches. See you next week.